Hello, welcome to 4i Radio. I am your host, Jay Rojas, a blogger, science communicator, and advocate of causes. On this show, I'll be sharing my notes and commentary on a wide range of topics like science, tech, current events, and other interesting topics. On some episodes, I would have guest interviews to pick brains with or learn from their expertise and insights. If you are excited by all of these, I would greatly appreciate if you will leave a review on iTunes, as it will help others find the show. Next, you can subscribe via iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of the episodes on rojas.ph/podcast. On this episode, I'll be talking about spiders, vampire bats, horror movies, and a simple tribute in honor of Sir Sean Connery. Alright, ogre-faced spiders catch insects out of the air using sound instead of sight. Spiders are not known to have the ability to hear sound. We do know that they have 8 legs and at least 10 eyes, so they have evolved without sense of hearing, or so I thought. It turns out that there's this one species, the ogre-faced spider, that can hear sounds. This cool arachnid hangs in the air holding a net made from spider silk, which they use to catch flying insects as prey. When they have been observed to catch insects from behind, scientists were puzzled as to how they were able to do it if sight is all they rely on for hunting. It turns out that they have specialized organs in their legs that are sensitive to low and high frequency sound waves, which they use to detect prey like flying insects, similar to how bats use echolocation to catch their prey. Speaking of bats, vampire bats social distance when they are sick. It turns out social distancing or staying away from others when we are sick is something that is not exclusive to us humans. A recent study led by Simon Ripperger, which appears on Behavioral Ecology, has found out that vampire bats also practice social distancing whenever they get sick. Bats are social animals. They live in colonies and interact with other bats. They form mating pairs and hunt together as a group. This improves their chances of survival. Simon's team captured a group of vampire bats and injected them with lipopolysaccharide. It's a harmless substance that tricks the animal's immune system into believing that there's an infection going on for a couple of hours. Another group was injected with a placebo. All of the bats were then tagged with sensors that allowed the researchers to track their movements and measure the time they spent with other bats. Lo and behold, the quote-unquote sick bats were found to have spent less time interacting with other bats as compared to the ones injected with the placebo, so they isolated themselves from the rest of the colony. Once the effects or feeling of sickness wore off, they returned to their normal interaction with the rest of their fellow bats. This is exciting and important as it supports the notion that social distancing does help a species survive diseases, and in this time of COVID-19 pandemic, it's very important to follow safety protocols for the benefit of everybody. The scariest films ever made and how they frighten us. Are you fond of horror movies? Do you know the secrets to making a good and really scary film? This article by Matt Glassby answers these questions and more. In it, he names 7 elements like dead space, the subliminal, the unexpected, the grotesque, dread, the uncanny, and the unstoppable, and breaks down each of these elements to show how each makes a scary movie. These 7 elements are a constant across all films in the genre. The varying degree of how a film uses each of those particular elements is what makes a horror film scary. The right combination of each, or the masterful use of just one, has often defined a great horror film. To wrap up this episode, I'll be reading a quote from one of my favorite movies which starred Sir Sean Connery, whom I am a great fan of. This is from Finding Forrester, where he played the character of a reclusive Pulitzer Prize-winning author William Forrester, who found the gift of friendship from a brilliant young writer and talented basketball player from the Bronx, New York. And I quote, "We walk away from our dreams afraid that we may fail, or worse yet, afraid we may succeed." End quote. Hope you enjoyed the show. All the links to the articles featured are found on the show notes, along with ways to subscribe and get in touch if you have questions or any feedback. You can also find me on Twitter at jrojas. Thank you for listening. See you all on the next episode.